After a painfully long time, we're finally going to get to see some new artifact sets, one of which is pretty good for new and older units, and the other that is, a bit weird. On top of that, we have a new 5-star catalyst coming out, so rather than separate this into two short videos, I figured it might be better to bunch them up into one longer video. For this, we'll be looking at what these pieces do, and who can best use them. Down below, you can find disclaimers, timestamps, social media links, music credits, and a link to my Discord server. Without further ado, let's get started. The first thing we'll discuss here is a new 5-star catalyst, Vivid Notions, which is also Varesa's signature weapon. It has a 674 base attack and a 44.1% crit damage substat. For its passive, attack is automatically increased by 28%. When you use a plunging attack, you gain a 28% plunging crit damage bonus. And then, when you use your skill or burst, you gain a 40% plunging crit damage bonus. Both effects will last for 15 seconds, or after a plunging attack deals its ground impact damage. This weapon is going to be the ultimate catalyst for any plunge-focused DPS. Assuming you reach all the conditions, your plunges are looking to have a base total of 162.1% crit damage. Yes, base total. Not including a crit damage substat or circlet, this is your stat floor. Given that it's Varesa's signature, she can use it very consistently. Most of her plunges can either be acquired through her skill or special burst, so she's able to proc both effects extremely well. As for other catalyst users, you are going to need to have some special conditions to make it work. For starters, you need to have Shen Yun, who enables plunging attacks, or you could use Venti, Albedo, or Zhongli, who have these niche height-altering abilities. Alternatively, you can find an enemy that has that gravity warping effect. Without either of these two factors, this weapon is just a stat stick. The only other character who self-enables plunges is Shen Yun herself. Even she's a bit restricted, because at C0, you only have one cast of her skill and one on her burst. So as a DPS, majority of her plunging attacks are only going to have the 28% bonus. And at this point, I really shouldn't go down a list of characters who can also use this weapon, because the former two I mentioned are the only ones who can technically use it. But I guarantee one of you crazy fucks is gonna slap this on your character. So, let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's say we have some kind of plunging enabler. At this point, any catalyst user can use a 20% bonus. The challenge here is getting the second effect consistently. Using a skill or burst will grant the second effect, but once you deal the impact hit, the effect is gone. For a majority of the characters, you will have to make this count. After all, you'll only have 2 chances per rotation, one for your burst and one for your skill. There are some exceptions to this, and these are the people who can technically enable the second effect consistently. This is a really weird one to say, but Lisa is a viable user. Her tap skill has a 1-second cooldown, which means if you really want to, you can use a skill cast in between plunges. Second, also a really weird one, running this on Yai is technically viable. Instead of using all of her skill casts at once, you can weave them between plunges, and her 4-second cooldown should be short enough to consistently have at least one charge at all times. If you run out, use her burst, plunge, then continue the plunging with 3 fresh stacks. Other catalyst users like Klee, Sucrose, and Ningguang can use it a couple more times, because their kits or constellations either enable a second charge or a cooldown reset. So yeah, the more you know. I have no idea how good this weapon will be on a non-Varesa unit. I have no idea what combos are going to be effective on whatever character is running this weapon, but if you're crazy enough to roll this weapon for your not Varesa, then you're more than capable of maxing out its capabilities one way or another. That was a lot of plunging talk. I'm already kind of tired of the conversation. So let's move on to the next part, the Plunging artifact set. Oh, come on! Long Knight's Oath's 2-piece effect will increase plunging attack damage by 25%. For its 4-piece effect, units will gain Radiant's Everlasting stacks for 6 seconds after plunging attacks, charge attacks, or skills hit an opponent. Plunging attacks grant 1 stack, while the latter 2 effects grant 2 stacks. Each stack increases plunging attack damage by 15%, and each duration is timed independently. In its simplest terms, if you max out the stacks, you get 100% plunging damage. Honestly, that's a pretty crazy number, so it's absolutely viable for those who can get the buff. The question is, who can reliably get the buff? Well, once again, if you have Shen Yun, Venti, Albedo, Zhongli, or are fighting the Gravity Mech, You can reliably proc the set on anyone using various attack and plunge combos. But let's assume you want a unit who can self-enable plunges. For starters, this will be one of, if not the best option for Varesa. Her skill cast deals damage, which also allows her to do a quick charge attack, and then jump in the air to deal plunging attacks. In that 3-move combo, she gets all 5 stacks. Very easy to proc with her. Shanyun's Skyladder jumps are considered skill damage, so you can get a slightly better boost on the stacks if you're close enough to the enemy. After that, plunge attack to try to get the remaining stacks. This is only really a viable set for her if you're using her as a DPS. You might also want to consider this set on Gaming. However, there is a major caveat to this. When Gaming uses his skill and does that little jump move, that does not count as a skill hit. And you wouldn't want to really weave in charge attacks because that's not very efficient. So the only way you can get stacks reliably is through plunges. But in his burst state, we're looking at an average of a 2 to 3 second window in between plunges. The most stacks you'll end up averaging at is probably around 2 to 3 as well, which wouldn't be enough to bypass other choices like Crimson Witch or Maro Chassé by a significant margin. Here's the thing, it still works on Gaming. As such, I believe this set is only worth farming if A, you don't have a good alternative set already farmed and built, and B, if you're already planning to farm the domain for a different character. That way, you can just give Gaming some of the extra pieces. And finally, there is one more unit who can reliably use the set. Xiao. His plunges are fast enough so that you can maintain 5 stacks pretty consistently. You can also use his skill to front load some of that stack generation. And there's also a charge attack plunge combo you can use for that as well. Simply use his charge attack, and then jump to animation cancel and plunge right after. According to some TC info, it's around 5% better than Vermilion in terms of overall damage, which in my opinion is not something worth farming unless you're really into min-maxing. So, in the same vein as Gaming, if you already have a good Vermilion set, you should save your resin for other things. Now if you are a min-maxer, before we move on to the final section, I would just like to send my deepest condolences to Xiox. You have relentlessly farmed in the Vermilion domain for almost 3 years. It's truly a commendable path you've chosen to pursue. It was indeed a great feat to see you get that amazing Anemo Damage Goblet. In fact, I believe that goblet was your way out of the Vermilion domain. You did it, man. You can finally leave. No. You're back in the fucking building. What? You thought it was over? No. It's not over for you, Mr. Socks. You're trapped in these damn mines forever. Aw, you're tired of this, Socks? Well, that's too damn bad! You keep farming! What the fuck was I on when I was writing this? On to the final artifact set, Finale of the Deep. Galleries. Its 2-piece effect grants a 15% cryo damage bonus. As for its 4-piece effect, when the character has 0 energy, normal attack and burst damage is increased by 60%. After dealing one of the aforementioned damage types, the other type will lose its bonus for 6 seconds. This effect triggers even when the user is off-field. So, a very restrictive set from the get-go. 60% normal attack and burst damage, but only when you have 0 energy. These are also non-snapshotable bonuses, so the second you get a single point, you lose the bonus completely. Characters like Ayaka, Chongyun, or Wriothesley have front-loaded bursts, so it's very possible to use this set for that. Although, a good chunk of their damage comes from other aspects, which the set won't really buff. As for normal attacks, each attack has a chance to generate energy, so uptime is likely going to be very low for that kind of playstyle. And then, there's the other aspect. Doing one of 2 damage types cancels the other for 6 seconds. We don't fully know how the duration works, but it could be one of 2 things. 1, you deal the damage type, and the other bonus is cancelled for 6 seconds, but won't be able to re-trigger within those 6 seconds. Kind of like Gilded. This means you only have a 6-second downtime window, unless you re-trigger the effect after. Alternatively, and this is sadly the more likely approach, you deal the damage type and you cancel the effect. Continuous hits will refresh the timer, extending the downtime. So your actual downtime is however long the attack window was, plus an additional 6 seconds. So who can best use the set? No one, yet. The conditions for this set are way too niche. As we know, however, Skirk is slated to be one of our upcoming characters, unless that character in the teaser pic is another mommy with mirror shard-like designs and decals. And given that the artifact set design heavily resembles her own character, it's safe to assume the set will be for her. We can use the info on the set to predict what her kit will be. For starters, many have suggested she'll have some kind of playstyle choice, one of which will be an on-field normal attacker, or an off-field burst DPS. Alternatively, she might have an alternating playstyle, so for half the rotation, you run her on-field, and the other half, you have her as an off-fielder. As for the energy aspect, the zero energy mechanic likely means she won't be using any form of natural energy in her kit. She'll probably have something similar to Malwika's fighting spirit, in which a different mechanic charges up her burst. I want to mention another idea that came up. Credits and shoutout to Andad for bringing this up, but he mentioned that it could be a mechanic where Skirk does have energy, but she can only build it up through specialized means, like with a skill. This prevents her from gaining energy through natural means, such as basic attacks or particles, and it would give her much more control over the set being utilized. On this topic, I have a stupid crackhead idea on a Farina-like unit who can proc this effect on other cryo units. And the idea is basically this. For a set duration, this unit can make the party enter a locked energy mode, preventing them from getting energy, and potentially even draining it to zero. This allows them to maintain the bonus for however long this locked mode lasts. Of course, one of the big mechanics I'd have to work around is what else the locked mode does, and how to prevent characters from reaching 500 plus ER need. I know the idea has a lot of issues. That's why I said it's a stupid crackhead idea, a smart crackhead idea. I'll be honest though, I have a lot of mixed feelings on the new gear. The Catalyst is only viable outside of Varesa, and even if you run Shanyun, the other Catalyst users won't specialize in plunge damage, making the playstyle a bit weird or underwhelming. The Cryo set is super niche, so even though it's going to be made for a new character, I feel like the conditions are so specific that only one person will be able to use it. I could be wrong though. Maybe we'll get 2 cryo units who specialize in a zero energy mechanic. Anything's possible after all. The Plunging artifact set is my favorite out of the 3. It has a specific niche of plunge buffing, but does so in a way that it will serve as a viable alternative or a new Besson slot for older units. In addition, having Shenyun makes it universally accessible for everyone, kinda like how Farina enables Marochisei. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like and subscribing to support the channel. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this new gear, whether you'll be going for them, and who you plan to use it on. Thanks for watching everyone, and I will see you all next time. Bye!